All right, ladies. I title this You Cannot Have Self Love While Being Around People Who Hate You. And what do I mean by that? Because I hear a lot of black women, and I'm not faulting them for saying this, but it's some things that I kind of want to pick apart in certain black women who continue to tell other black women to love themselves. And I'm especially talking about black women who are still kind of race loyal, somewhat race loyal. They might not be completely in. You have some people who are extremely race loyal, and you have some that's not really race loyal, but at the same time they're not completely out either. They're not completely divested. And this is what I want to say about those ladies that continue to tell other black women to love themselves. See, what's missing is that the black collective, black people in the United States have a collective consciousness of poverty. Okay, some of us have broken away from that collective consciousness, and it's still a work in progress. But black people, black women and black men, have a collective consciousness of poverty. They have a poverty consciousness. Okay. We already know by now that the men do not care about their women and children, and they terrorize their women and children in many different ways. We know that by now, right? We already know that there's a 77% out of wedlock birth rate. We already know that these men will not marry the mothers of their children. We already know for decades that these guys put every race of woman, or every race, every culture of woman above his own. Do we know that, right? And we also know some of the poor relationships that a lot of black women have with their mothers, because a lot of them have been molested in their family, and their mothers did not protect them, instead wanted to protect the predators and called the women liars or call them fast. So with all of that being said, a woman cannot love herself and be surrounded in that kind of cesspool that I just mentioned. A woman cannot love herself while still being surrounded in that kind of cesspool. And that is what's missing when these ladies, certain ladies, right? I'm talking about the certain ladies that tell you to love yourself, but they won't tell you to get the heck away from black people. That's what they won't tell you, okay? Because you're around a bunch of people who hate to see, and of course, I'm not saying all black people are this way, but I'm saying it's a collective consciousness. So you can have individual black people that might not be that way, okay? But it's definitely a collective consciousness of poverty, and anybody who says otherwise is pretty much lying, because I mean you can just look at what's become of the black collective, what has been, look at the fruit or lack thereof. And so we can see it's a collective consciousness of poverty. Okay. And so with that said, to truly love yourself, you have to detach yourself spiritually, and you have to detach yourself from that consciousness of black people. You have to stop. You can't be around them as much, okay? And a lot of ladies who want to talk about dating a lot, but don't really suggest that they expand their options other than Africa or other areas where they have dark skinned men. But then you want to preach about black women loving themselves. Okay. What I know is that this problem that exists specifically with the males, I see this trait in a lot of, black men worldwide. Okay. Some of this aggressiveness, this rape culture that I see it in a lot of the ways that they are. I see it in other groups of men worldwide who are black. Okay. So, when you tell a black woman to love herself, first you need to explain to her that the collective, the group that she is a part of, which are black people, are lacking in self-love. And so it's best to get away from this group of people. And it's best, if you want to date, to expand your options to all groups of men, not just one group of men, and not trying to get a passport and fly to Africa somewhere to find a man. Okay, because that's not self-love either. If you got to go find a passport to go chase after some man, but he ain't looking for you. Okay. So what the message that's missing from these ladies is the lack of quality men that's within the collective of Black people within the United States. Okay, that's the message that's missing. So it's hard for a lot of Black women to love themselves, but still continue to be only interested in one group of men and only want to be with one group of men and marry them and mate with them, because chances are they're not going to get. It's a high chance that they're not going to get what they're looking for, and they're going to spend all of their years until their 50s and 60s. And that's if they want to get married. That's if they want a mate, because not everybody really want to get married or want to date. Everybody's not interested in that. But those who are going to spend their 30s, 40s, and 50s still looking for that right person and thinking something is wrong with them because they cannot find it, because they did not expand their options. And that is a part of the self-love I'm talking about. You know, you cannot really truly have self-love by being surrounded by a group of people who are self-loathing. You have to get outside that box. You can only be a good apple in a box, in a bag full of rotten apples for so long. It will only be so long before you turn bad. And that's what I'm saying, that it's best for Black women to really, really get out there, to get beyond Black people, get beyond Black consciousness, the consciousness that Black people have, which is that of poverty right now and self-hate. That is their collective consciousness. You cannot be a good apple in a bag full of rotten apples and not turn bad. And so I side-eye these women that always want to give this advice about Black women needing to have self-love, but then you don't tell them why they're probably lacking in self-love. And even if you do, a lot of the solution is to get away from the people, from the perpetrators. Yes, you need to heal. Those women who have been through trauma, I agree that they need to heal. But to go beyond that, get away from the perpetrators, to get away from the people who perpetrate this the most that in the world. And and it's a lot of, Black people. Okay. So what I'm saying is, that's all I'm saying is this message of Black women needing self-love coming from these women that won't tell these women that you need to expand your options. You need to go into other, you need to be more diverse. Travel more to get to know all different cultures, immerse yourself in all different cultures, because that helps to increase self-love too. Okay. Healing is a part of it. Being to yourself is a part of it. Learning to love yourself is a large part of it, but also get to know how other people think, get to know other groups of men, get to know other groups of women, get to know other cultures besides the Black culture, because as long as those ladies have are invested in Black culture, have a Black culture mindset, I don't see why they have a whole lot of self-love, because the Black culture is a culture of rape, it's a culture of denigration, crime, drugs. That's the Black culture. And no woman can truly love herself with such an investment in that type of culture. I don't care how pretty she is, how she does her hair. I don't care. Something is not right. Something is going to be missing if you're a person who is race loyal to a culture that hates women, just to have a seething hate for Black women, to promote rape, promote crime, promote a lot of promiscuity, and all kinds of just anything that that's inhumane. That's what this culture, the Black culture, promotes. And I cannot preach a message of Black women having self-love while telling her that she needs to stay with this culture, because the two don't go together. Okay. So that's all I'm saying. And it's not just Black culture, it's anybody who hates you. For instance, say if my family has been so cruel to me all my life, right? Just always slander, gossip, and on top of that, practicing things and rituals that have been intended to harm me in certain ways. Well, if I truly love myself, I would disassociate with them, right? Because many people tell you to disassociate with the people in your life that hurt you, but they won't tell you to disassociate from a collective, a race of people that are unhealthy. And for Black women right now, especially what's happening right now, to truly love themselves, the same way you would give that advice to disassociate yourself from your family so you can heal, Black women who really want to have this self-love need to disassociate themselves from a group of people. Now, disassociate yourself from the immediate person in your life that's causing you problems and work on healing your own trauma, so work on yourself, but disassociate yourself from a race of people that are self-loathing and have a consciousness of poverty. You can't love yourself being immersed in a group of people like that, because eventually that good apple is just going to go rotten. It's just going to happen. So with that being said, that's all I got to say. You guys let me know what you think, and I will